Have you ever just stopped and wondered about that voice in your head? You know, that constant feeling of being you. It's one of the deepest mysteries there is. I mean, how does a sense of I just pop into existence?
I mean, really think about it. Your brain is just a collection of billions of mindless little neurons firing signals back and forth. Not a single one of them has any clue who you are, what you're thinking, or what you care about. So how on earth does all that simple stuff create the incredibly complex feeling of being a unified self?
So where do we even start to crack this puzzle? Well, it turns out the answer is hidden in a really cool pattern. It's this powerful idea that links together fields that, honestly, you would never, ever think have anything in common.
And that brings us right to our first big idea. It connects three absolute giants from history. We're talking a logician, an artist, and a composer.
You've got Kurt Gödel in mathematics, M.C. Escher in art, and Johann Sebastian Bach in music. What's crazy is that these three geniuses, working in totally separate worlds, all bumped into the exact same deep, underlying pattern in reality. It's like they were all describing the same hidden thing from different angles.
So what's the big connection? It's this one powerful concept, self-reference. They all built systems that could refer back to themselves. You know, Gödel created mathematical statements that talked about their own truth. Bach wrote music that folded back on itself endlessly. And Escher, well, he drew those mind-bending worlds that just loop and loop in impossible ways. And this right here is the perfect way to picture it. Look at these ants on this Mobius strip. They think they're just marching forward on a normal two-sided surface, right? But nope, they're actually trapped in an endless one-sided loop. That's self-reference right there, in visual form. It's a system that looks like it has different levels, but surprise, you always end up right back where you started.
Okay, so this looping idea, it's not just some clever trick. This brings us to the core mechanism that might actually explain consciousness itself. It's the key to understanding how a self can just be born from a system with no self at all.
It's called a strange loop, and this is not your average feedback loop. No, it's this wild, paradoxical thing where you think you're moving up or down through the levels of a system, and then, boom, you're right back where you began. It's kind of like climbing a staircase that magically puts you back on the very first step.
This dragon biting its own tail, that's the perfect symbol. A strange loop is what you get when a system becomes so complex that it can actually create a symbol for itself. It's a system that can, in a very real way, perceive itself.
And here's where it all clicks together. The big idea is that our own consciousness, our sense of I, is a strange loop running on the hardware of our brain. It's this self-referential pattern that lets the brain create a high-level symbol of itself. So that feeling of being you, it isn't located in any single neuron. It's the loop itself, like software that's been skimmed right off the hardware.
Okay, so if the I is a loop, where does all the intelligence and meaning inside that loop even come from? Well, that leads us straight to our next key idea, the incredible power of emergence, where you get really complex results from very, very simple rules.
The main point here is simple. You just can't understand the whole by looking at the little pieces, right? You can stare at one single water molecule all day long, but you'll never discover wetness. Wetness only happens when a ton of molecules get together and interact. It's the same exact thing with our minds. Thought doesn't live in one neuron. It emerges from the whole system.
Now this is really cool. Take a look. From a distance, you see one big word, holism. But if you lean in closer, you'll see that word is actually made up of a bunch of smaller words, reductionism. The meaning totally changes depending on your perspective. The whole is truly something different from the sum of its parts.
The classic example of this is an ant colony. Down at the low level, you just have individual ants. They're following incredibly simple rules. Follow this chemical trail, carry that food. Not a single ant has a clue about the big picture. But out of all those simple, local actions, something amazing emerges, the highly intelligent behavior of the entire colony. It's like a superorganism, acting with a collective purpose.
So this stuff is fascinating for sure, but how do we actually use it? Well, if you're building a business or leading a team, understanding these patterns can give you a serious edge. Let's break down a simple framework for putting this to work.
First, go find your golden braid. Seriously, don't just stay in your lane. If you're in tech, go study biology. If you're in marketing, check out architecture. The most powerful innovations happen at these unexpected intersections. Second, Hunt for the strange loops in your business. This isn't just about customer feedback. It's about those self-reinforcing cycles. How does your company's culture shape your product, which in turn attracts employees who then reinforce that very culture? That's a strange loop you can intentionally design. And finally, think like an ant colony architect. You can't command a great culture into existence from the top down. Instead, you define the simple core rules, the pheromones of your organization, and let intelligent, adaptive behavior emerge naturally from the bottom up.
So let's just quickly recap the 3 core ideas. The Golden Braid teaches us that innovation comes from connecting the unconnected. Strange loops show us that self-reinforcing feedback is the key to intelligence. And Emergence reminds us to focus on the simple rules that create complex, powerful results.
And that leaves you with one final, kind of wild thought to chew on. If our own sense of self is the result of a strange loop running in our brains, just an emergent pattern born from mindless parts, then what exactly is the I that's asking the question?
Now, pondering these big questions is essential, but for many of us, so is taking action in the real world. If you're ready to move from the abstract to the concrete and apply these principles of system thinking to grow your business, you can take the next step. If you want to take action, move forward, and find more clients, you can book a free call with CD Marketing using the link below.